Hi, I'm Sarah Al-Ahmed, the host of Planetary Radio at the Planetary Society, and this is the legend of the traveling Tardis.
Hello, this is Dave Chapman here. It's the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Welcome, folks. Hey, yep, I'm back. Welcome. And we have a great guest today. We're going to be talking to Sarah Al-Ahmed from Planetary Radio and from the Planetary Society. But first, let me go ahead and bring in the team, and let's go ahead and get this thing started. Let's start with the lovely Melanie Dean. How you doing, Melanie?
If I remember how to unmute myself, I'm doing very, very well. I'm also in the chats lurking around here on my phone, and I will be manning up the chats on here too. So as everyone's saying hello to one another out there on both Facebook and on YouTube. So yes, if you'd like to join the conversation, have questions, comments, all that kind of fun stuff, we're out there. There I am engaging, and then as we go along, I'll bring up questions, comments, and all that kind of fun stuff. So, bye.
Hello, everybody, and welcome there. Yeah, don't forget to put in your chats. Don't forget to say hello to Sarah. Speaking of saying hello, we bring in the paparazzo. Thank you, Dave, for covering me over for all the reviews. Did you have a good time doing that?
Always. When Christian's away, the rats will play.
Nice.
and we played.
Don't forget to check out his YouTube channel, youtube.com/theratHole. You got to spell out the whole DOTCA. That's for all you Canadians up there.
Yes, and I'm going to be very busy on that this weekend.
And don't forget to also check out Melanie on her Instagram, Pieces of Mailing. Don't forget that. And speaking of checking out their stuff, let's check out Mark Muncy, who hasn't been here forever.
It's been a hot minute. Yeah, it's been a hot minute.
Hot mess.
Yeah, pretty much.
How you
We're
doing,
the
Mark?
Heartwood Festival and the Grafton Monster Festival and the Hodag Festival. I've been doing all the monster festivals this summer, so it's been a little busy for me.
So what's been your biggest event so far over with?
It's been a tough call. The Hodag Festival was pretty good, but the Loveland Frogman Festival was probably the best one so far. But
Cool.
we do have Squonkapalooza next month and the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference coming up. Those are both supposed to be huge.
I honestly think you made up those words while we were.
You'd think.
Squonkapalooza?
Right? Squonkapalooza for the Squonk, Philadelphia's or Johnstown, Pennsylvania's cryptid. He's a sad thing that cries in the woods, and it's terrible. So,
well, folks, enough of my mug over here. Let's introduce our special guest today. She comes all the way from the Planetary Radio, part of the Planetary Society. Everything we're going to be telling you about that, and we're going to be telling you how we know Sarah. We're going to introduce the lovely Sarah Al-Ahmed. How you doing there, Sarah?
Doing really well.
Okay.
Thank you so much for
I
inviting me.
love the ears.
Thank you.
Love the ears. Wait a minute. Does this count? I mean, if we got cat ears, so we get to get the thing. Sarah,
I'm basically just a cat in a human suit.
Aren't we all just a little bit there? Sarah, tell everybody about yourself, a little bit about yourself, and how we know you. And I won't get into that discussion too.
It's a fun story. Well, first off, I'm a huge sci-fi and Doctor Who fan. And it's part of my journey into becoming an astrophysicist. These shows, Doctor Who, Star Trek, all these things really inspired me. So I became a science communicator. And now I host Planetary Radio, which is the podcast of the Planetary Society. The Planetary Society is the world's largest and most effective space advocacy group. So people all over the world join our organization to learn more about space and to help enable space exploration all over our solar system. And each week we put together a Planetary Radio show where I talk to people in the space industry and in science fiction to share what's going on in this human journey across the solar system and beyond.
That's awesome. That is totally awesome. I've heard about the Planetary Society. It was run by these three guys.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the guy in the center. Who are the guys on the end, though?
Yeah, so everyone will recognize Carl Sagan, famous for his time working on the Cosmos documentary series and for his other work. But we also have Bruce Murray and Lou Friedman, who are both his colleagues. And together they decided, post-Apollo program, essentially there was a lack of funding for space after we'd already proven that we could send people to the moon. And they wanted to prove that people all over the world really cared about space exploration. So these three dudes got together and they founded the Planetary Society in 1980. They started incorporating at the end of 1979. So it's been almost 45 years. But they got together people from all around the world. And today we have over 50,000 members in countries all over this planet that work together.
Gotcha. That Carl Sagan. I feel bad because I used to try to watch Cosmos when I was a kid on the PBS channel, but he has that voice. Thank you for watching the pale blue dot. Everybody fall asleep while I'm talking.
Yeah, man, he was ASMR before we had a word for it.
So, speaking of which, but as we bring up today, there's a new guy who runs the Planetary Society.
Yep, it's now run by our CEO, Bill Nye, the science guy. He's super passionate about space exploration. That's a picture of us at the eclipse. That's me and Bill Nye and my brother.
How many ties does that guy really have?
Oh my gosh, so many ties.
Hey,
I can't even describe
cool.
to you. People who bow ties are cool. I honestly wonder whether or not they ended up with that bow ties are cool shtick because Bill Nye made them popular. I wonder. But if you go into his office in our headquarters in Pasadena, and don't just show up randomly, okay? We don't do random tours, but he has a whole section of his office dedicated to his bow tie collection. And we actually did a tutorial recently on, I believe it was like all of our social media, a short video of him teaching people how to tie a bow tie. So if anybody wants to learn how to do that from Bill Nye, we got you.
Nice.
But your journey begins at planetary.org. Again, that's planetary.org. So you can check out this nonprofit organization. It's an incredible organization that's inspiring people and kids to look up at the stars. My guy was Jack Horkheimer, Star Hustler, Stargazer. That was my jazz. Greetings, fellow travelers. I'm just like, oh god, no, I'm not going to try.
It didn't hurt that he wasn't. He was on behind Doctor Who on most PBS.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. That's how we ended the night, and then they played the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we all fell asleep. That's how it worked out there. So let us begin. Now, let me tell the story just a little bit, Sarah, on how things got situated out here. A while back, the Planetary Society put out, I guess for a better term, an invitation for people to make a 1-minute clip of recording yourself just saying what Doctor Who meant for you. And I said, you know what, I'll take it even one step further. I'll go ahead and get my friends, and we will make a 1-minute audio clip of all our friends on the podcast out here. And some of you have seen it because we do have the episode. It's only 30 minutes long. It's called Behind the Scenes of Planetary Society. And it's us trying to make the 1-minute clip. That should have been only like 10 seconds to take. It was just, it was a comedy of errors. It was just everything that could go wrong did go wrong. But if you want to check it out for yourself, it's I don't know, I'll put the link in the chat later on. I'll definitely put the chat. That was a fun night. That's right, Kevo. We were all trying to make this 1-minute clip, and I wanted to, at least we got an episode out of it, and we were trying to just have a little fun, not knowing that Sarah was crazy enough to actually put the actual clip in the audio. And then when I actually saw, I will be putting the link later on to because I think I have it. I thought I put in the chat, so I haven't put it in the chats. I'll put it later. The link of the actual audio that Sarah got to speak with Russell T Davies, and when she went through her audio, she goes like, "Oh, by the way, yeah, the Legend of the Traveling Tardis. Here's the podcast." I'm like, "Oh."
Well, y'all
because
deserve
I
it.
wasn't expecting that at all.
I wasn't expecting a group of people passionate enough to send me a compiled clip of all of them together.
Oh, how dare you!
I mean, come on.
How dare you?
That is a beautiful show of what this show and the community around it has meant to everyone. And what sparked me asking for that was actually the conversation I had with Russell T Davies right out the door. I'm surprised that they said yes to that interview, but I wrote Disney and I was like, look, we've gone through 60 years of this show. It's been deeply impactful for me and all of my friends in the space community. I'd like to bring Russell T Davies on the show to talk about that connection between people who go into science and the show. They were wacky enough to say yes to that interview, and I think it turned out really well. But in the conversation, he said to me that he had never heard from anyone in the space community that the show had inspired them to go into space science or what it actually meant to that community. And that lit a fire under me. In the space of a few days, I was like, we got to ask everyone possible and see who's going to say yes to this and put their voices on the show to share that sentiment, and not just what it meant for them going into space science, but how it encouraged them to be excited about our place in the universe. And I really hope that meant something to him, because I know it meant a lot to me to put it together. And I know he and all the people that work on Doctor Who deserve to hear that from us, because it's not just about, Daleks and Cybermen and the cosplay community even. It's about the way that it opens people up to the universe. I mean, I could wax on about this forever because it had a huge impact on my life. So thank you for going through all of that effort. I mean, that meant a lot.
It's well documented, like the Scully effect, they call it, where all the ladies got into STEM sciences because of Scully on the X-Files. And I think there was a Doctor Who effect. I mean, it was basically that general sci-fi effect. We were all drawn into it. Late 70s, early 80s. Oh my gosh, that's when Planetary Society started. And I listened to it on the radio then as a young kid who was really just, really exploring the skies at night, because it was, I lived in dark sky territory right near Greenbrier, West Virginia. So the world's biggest telescope there. And so you could watch the skies, and we were all convinced the aliens were coming. But Doctor Who was our window into the kind of science fiction-y aspect of it. So yeah, that it was all there. So
yeah, I'm really hoping that we can build more bridges with the Doctor Who community and with the people that work on the show, because we're, as an organization, deeply embedded with the people from Star Trek. And in fact, Gene Roddenberry, who created Star Trek, actually, right after we were founded, wrote their newsletter group at the time and asked all the fans of Star Trek to join the Planetary Society, because we were essentially trying to create Starfleet. And I hope that as we branch into this new realm of trying to become more international, I mean, we've been around for ages and we have people all over the world, but let's be honest, it's hard to advertise all over the world at once. So we're trying to think more strategically about this. And Doctor Who fans span so many countries. It's such a natural partnership for us, and I hope that we can build a stronger bridge there, because come on, I mean,
We've
awesome.
got at least three countries in the audience today. No,
Yeah.
we got all of the Americans. We got a bunch of our British friends are here, and I'm of course up in Canada. So,
oh, it's wonderful.
We're all starting to reach out. Mark, are you seeing this same thing behind her that I am?
Oh yeah. The RPGs, yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Now, this is actually one of my most prized possessions right here. I actually have the 10th Doctor edition of the role play books. I even special ordered the DM screen and everything. They were out of print when I realized that they existed. So I love these.
Yeah.
Dave's
Dave
just
and I are
tuned
big,
in.
Dave and I are big gamers, and we go back to the FASA days on ours. So mine are on the shelf back here behind me. So I may have to grab those during the commercial break so I can bring them up.
Awesome.
Yeah,
There's
I
Dave.
got
Not to the
a few.
Dave's shelf died.
Yeah, he's got the
Wow.
whole set.
A few hundred.
That's how I review games. So yeah, I've got one or two.
Sorry, Mark. I just saw Mark just do not cut to Mark yet. He just ran back.
I had to run. I couldn't wait.
He had to run back to go
That's
get
the
his.
best time to get Mark.
They're right
There he
there.
is.
There's
Oh my
that's
gosh.
mine. So the old FASA collection there.
That's
Well,
amazing.
Dave, remember how you said you kept wanting to do an episode where we're all doing a game, we're gaming from one of those books?
Mhm.
I think
Oh,
you
yeah.
might be able to maybe strong arm a special guest, possibly if Sarah's open to it.
Yeah.
Oh, I am so down. Let's do this.
Oh yeah.
Because honestly, I've been sitting on this set of books for ages, and I keep wanting to do a short campaign or something. I have a whole plan for it and everything, but I've never been able to play it
That's
yet.
gonna do it.
Oh, we're gonna talk after this because I'm a
Oh
terrible
yes.
jam.
Oh, all right.
Oh,
Terrible.
There we
jam.
go.
So I didn't want to run it, but no, I'm in.
and I've been begging for it because I've never played it, and I'm like, come on, let's do this. And I know Dave's like, no, I don't want it. I don't know.
Mark's too busy, and yeah. So no, if you're in,
I'm down to play. I just can't run it. My goodness,
Yeah.
I got too much time to finish. I'm on deadlines. Sorry, guys.
I feel that.
Yeah. Only 3 books due this year. It's all good. It's all good. Well, I'll make
Right.
it.
Oh, I see the books have crushed. I have a Dalek back here too.
Oh,
Saw that.
This I actually, so this is made out of pieces that someone got in a junkyard. I bought this at a street fair in Berkeley the year that I discovered Doctor Who, and it was actually introduced to me by one of my good friends, but also my cosmology professor when I was studying astrophysics. He basically, first day of class, he drew a little picture of a TARDIS up in the top of the blackboard. And was like, if you don't know what this show is, I'm going to be talking about it a lot in this cosmology class. So we're throwing a party. I'm going to do a Doctor Who marathon, and you should come. And that's how I got into the show. So I bought this to commemorate it.
That's
So
awesome.
who was your first Doctor? And let me put this as a 2-part question. Who was your first Doctor? Who is your Doctor?
I mean, Christopher Eccleston was my first Doctor. I started right there in the 2005 rebirth of the show, and Eccleston really spoke to me. But it was David Tennant's Doctor, the 10th Doctor, that it's definitely my Doctor, and not just because I loved those episodes so much, but because perfect picture. My partner Dan cosplays the 10th Doctor, so we go and do cosplay events together, and for that reason, it's a very special Doctor for me.
I love that you're doing Donna. that you're Donna and 10. Such a great photo. And SDCC.
Yeah, we we used to go to Comic-Con almost every single year, but then COVID happened. I haven't been back since.
Yeah.
But I mean, come on, what a beautiful excuse to get all the cool props. I even brought some. This I think is one of my favorite things, the fob watch.
Oh yeah.
This has got to be one of the coolest things in our collection. Although it doesn't light up the same way that it used to.
Yeah.
And, of course, got the sonic screwdrivers and River Song's Diary.
Yeah.
Merch. She's got the
did
merch.
you ever get a chance to go to Time Fracture?
No.
Oh, you would die. I got to film on their sets and got some backstage, and they got to raid the warehouse.
Oh,
Nice.
They had literal trucks of stuff that wasn't even used, but almost like there were just real prop after real prop after real prop.
Wow.
Everywhere through this thing. It was amazing.
I would lose my mind, honestly. I mean, there was a moment we were trying to perfect the 10th Doctor outfit, that fabric with the brown and the blue pinstripe. And we had to go way out of our way to find someone from the UK who actually had access to this original fabric. And we went a little nutty with it. But I mean, come on. It's like when there's some genre that speaks to you so closely. And through my experience going to Doctor Who conventions, primarily Gallifrey 1, which is the largest Doctor Who convention in the world and is hosted here in LA near where I live. I mean, the friends, the companionship I formed through that convention. Oh, cats!
There we
Yeah.
go.
Oh, da da. Da da.
Hi, kitty.
Here's Luna for everybody to see. I had
Luna's
muted
back.
myself because she's
And
right
we're seeing
here.
Luna's back.
Yeah.
Literally, we're seeing
Yeah.
Luna's
Yeah.
Sorry. Continue.
The far side of the cat moon.
back. Alrighty. Wait a minute. I'm missing something here. Okay.
What?
No, keep going. I'm
You're missing something, then we all just had to stop. What are
My
you
question is now that the radio show is gone and you've started the podcast, how long has the did the podcast predate the radio show or did it come after?
The radio show started almost 21 years ago now. And then very shortly after, they started podcasting, like right at the dawn of podcasting. Matt Kaplan was the previous host. And for 20 years, he ran both the radio show and the podcast. But in the last year after I took over, we made the collective decision to pull back from the radio show. And right now we're trying to do something much similar to what you're doing. We're trying to take more of a video element to it because I want people to be able to see all of these amazing guests we've brought in from space agencies around the world and really showcase the diversity of the space community. Because it's one thing to hear someone's voice, but it's a totally different thing to be able to like see them and see where they're at, see their presence. It's different. So that's what I'm hoping for. But we're in the middle of updating the recording studio, it used to be a bank vault. So it's a little echoey in there.
Nice.
I'm in the process.
Oh yeah. No, if I had a dime for every bank vault that I had a ghost story about somewhere.
Don't tell me that.
Yeah, no, that's it seems to be you go to any bank, this was a bank and 3 people were murdered over here. It's like, oh great, thanks. Yeah, nice to know. So,
If anything, it would be the ghost of Carl Sagan just popping in to be like,
that's
look
what I
at
would say. I would say if you got Carl over there, he would be happy to prove that there was another side, but I don't think that's happening for him. So.
We still have his old desk sitting in Bill Nye's office, and every once in a while, I just like to go in there and touch the desk and just feel the presence. It's a weird thing to be a part of that legacy, and I don't know. I'm constantly blown by it. I don't know how you all feel about where you're at in life, but I don't know. It feels cosmically lucky that after all of this effort, I got to be the science communicator that gets to do what I love every day, sharing space with people. I mean, how many wonderful people out there are so passionate, so talented, and never get that break, never get that chance. So I'm trying to make the most of it, and I just get to go on adventures all the time and talk to the people behind these space missions and get the updates early on what's happening. I get the embargoed articles before anybody gets to know what's happening on Venus. Like it's awesome. It's a really good time.
So you've gotten to tour NASA a few times, you said, and that's pretty epic. Tell us about some of your favorite parts of that.
Wow. I've been to a few NASA facilities. I live right by the Jet Propulsion Lab here in Pasadena, which is where they make a lot of the rovers and a lot of the other spacecraft. So I've been there I got to see the Perseverance rover and the Ingenuity helicopter before they took off to Mars. Got to see the James Webb Space Telescope at Northrop Grumman before that launched. It was crazy. Oh, and I've been to both SpaceX and Blue Origin to see them. That was at NASA HQ earlier this year. I went to Washington, D.C. to go to Congress, actually. We were advocating for space exploration there, and I got to give a talk at NASA headquarters. It was my first time giving a talk there. And this was a really big moment for me. We went to the Kennedy Space Center in Florida so that we could go see the launch of the Artemis 1 rocket. And Artemis is the new moon program. So Artemis 1 was the beginning of a whole new age of exploring to the moon. And then the launch didn't happen. So we just had a fun time checking out the shuttles. This one was at the eclipse earlier. I don't know if you guys got to go see that eclipse, but that, my gosh.
That was pretty epic.
Sadly, no.
Yeah.
And were you in a total darkness?
Yeah, we
totality?
planned that
Nice.
for years out. We selected a location that had really good weather and like perfectly in the path of totality. And of course, it was. I don't know if anybody else was in Texas during that time. We were in Fredericksburg, Texas, and that day it was just cloudy.
Yep.
But an interesting thing about eclipses is that when they come through, the temperature drops somewhere between 10 and 20 degrees and causes kind of a pressure wave that goes through the atmosphere. So I don't know if that's what caused it, but right before the eclipse happened, it was like this little moment where the clouds parted, and all of us there at this event, we called it Eclipse-orama. We got 800 people together in a field in Texas, and right then clouds parted and we got to see the eclipse. But it's my second eclipse. I got to see totality in 2017 too, so I'm really lucky.
Yeah. If anybody, the next one comes, plan ahead. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, 2026, it's going through Greenland, Iceland, and Spain. And then 2027 is the really big one. It starts in Spain, goes all the way through the Middle East. That's going to be bonkers. And then if you want to wait a little longer, I think it's 2029, I think is Australia. It's going right over Sydney, Australia. So there's some good opportunities coming up. Yeah, that's going to, if you want to go to that one, you should buy your tickets right now.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's right. You had a big adventure. All I could say is all I did was go to Titusville and get this little shot right here.
That's so cool, though.
I got to be an escort for Sylvester in NASA. If that's not like over the top loving it, I'm just like, and there were actually 8 other Doctor Who celebrities that were there at that time. And I was just like, I'm taking Sylvester McCoy to NASA. How the hell?
How did that happen?
How did that happen? There were some good people who were running a convention out there. Oh, Lee, thank you so much. Hello, Christian. As you can see, I've subscribed to your channel. Yeah, I can tell. And I donated this super chat to your channel as I'd like to help where I can be a fellow YouTuber and help. Thank you. And hello to the rest of the panel. Well, Lee, thank you so much for joining us. Lee was actually on another podcast earlier, Null Zone, and I was actually on my lunch hour over there. And believe it or not, of all things we were talking about, 2 Doctor Who podcasters, we were talking about Beverly Hills Cop Axel F, which I just saw recently. That's what we were talking about. So
80s flashback again, right there.
80s flashback. Did you guys see it yet?
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it.
One of my friends that doesn't like anything was raving about it. So I'm like, I have to watch this.
If you can get, Eddie Murphy driving a snowplow in Detroit in a car chase in the first 10 minutes of a movie, it's worth your time. So, but no, I gotta say, my trip to Titusville, the best thing there was when we were at NASA headquarters. We were walking through behind the scenes. We were filming a thing for On the Trail of UFOs, and as we're walking by, we passed this one old panel, and the little red light blinks, and I look over at the scientist next to it and said, what's that? And he said, oh, that's Voyager. And it was just happened to be right when it sent a message that day. I was like, oh, that was so cool to be connected to something that far.
Oh man, if you ever get a chance to visit the Jet Propulsion Lab in Pasadena, it's not the easiest place to get into, obviously, but they have this visual display with all these cool like light rods, and whenever signals come in from the Deep Space Network from outer space, you can literally see them visually, the data coming down, and depending on the signal strength of the spacecraft, it will go faster or slower. And whenever a signal comes in from Voyager 1 or 2, it's like so slow, but you're like, there's Voyager, it's out there all these years later.
Yep. It was so cool. Just one little light blink for about a half a second, and then it was gone. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. I was there. I remember when it launched.
Yeah. And I'm just so glad. I mean, I don't know if anyone's been following the saga with Voyager 1, but that spacecraft's been out there for 40 plus years. Okay. So that thing's been out there. It is now in interstellar space, and it was on the fritz for a while. And it was only just recently that they reestablished connection with everything. And all the instruments are now sending data back, which is awesome because there are only emissaries into interstellar space. Like that data is so precious. But more than that, I think I would be emotionally devastated if Voyager either of them turned off.
How many people cried when Curiosity died, and that wasn't anything. I mean,
Mhm.
Opportunity wrecked me. Cassini, the
Oh,
Cassini
man.
spacecraft. Now that was crazy for me because that was the one that
Yeah.
went to Saturn, and they purposefully drove it into the atmosphere of Saturn to burn up because they were trying to protect the potential life on the moons around it.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
at the time I was working at Griffith Observatory, which is a really big observatory up above LA, and it has the world's most looked through telescope. So people from all over the world go there. And the Cassini team, just a few days before the end of the mission in 2017, decided to throw their end party there.
Oh.
And I got to be there to work that end party. So I'm there with all the scientists that have been working on this for ages and, getting to know them. And then I watched the live stream. I woke up at, I don't remember what hour it was. It was really early in the morning. And I woke up early to watch that spacecraft, end its life. And then just watching everyone in the room that I had just been hanging out with have this deep emotional reaction. Like, oh, I'll cry now just thinking about it, but that's me anthropomorphizing robots. As is tradition.
Humans will pack bond with anything.
If I get a message from Voyager, it'll probably be asking me if I want to extend my car warranty. So anyway, we're going to be taking a commercial break, and we return Sarah Al-Ahmed from the Planetary Radio, part of the Planetary Society. We're going to continue our discussion. Have your questions ready when we return. Please continue to stay logged on, tuned in, and we'll be right back.
I'm author Mark Muncy.
And I'm author Erica Lance.
And this is Eerie Travels.
Greetings, travelers. Join us as we travel through folklore, myths, monsters, legends, and dark history.
Now, we'll be your guide to the spooky side of reality as we discuss cryptids, paranormal, and all things preternatural.
Sometimes we find the truth is way scarier than fiction.
We're on twice a week on your favorite podcast platforms, including iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube.
We have amazing guests from all of the areas of the strange and unusual, including witnesses, investigators, and more.
Yeah, with Erica's curiosity and ridiculous array of pop culture and true crime knowledge.
And Mark's decades of experience diving into folklore and the legends with the truth that's behind them.
Yeah, so join us, travelers, as we take you to the edge of reality, and we'll see you on the other side.
Mark, I'm just going to say I'd never seen that commercial. And as soon as you guys said, "Greetings, travelers," I completely lost.
That's how we open the show. And it's just, hey, thank you guys for running that. That's awesome.
No
Well, I
problem.
spent long enough harassing you to get me one. Why wouldn't
Exactly.
Yeah, we finally threw it together a couple of weeks ago. And it was like, all right, I got to edit it and put it up. So,
All right, back to the people who pay us.
Are you a movie nerd? Do you collect VHS, DVDs, CDs, records, and so much more? Are you looking for clothing from 1940s to 2000s? Do you need cosplay or themed outfits? Come to Ducky's Vintage. We have it all for all budgets, located at the Oviedo Mall right off of the 417. Ducky's Vintage, for those born in the wrong decade.
Hey everybody, welcome back to an all-new X's for Show, your premier show for streaming media content.
A great creative team and a great concept that is years in the making.
That's certainly one of the interesting things about this as a program.
Hot names, even hotter ideas.
The silliest version of every single one.
Hot names, even hotter ideas.
Everybody is so even-keeled. That is a
love
nonsense
him.
thing that you just said.
I'm not wrong. I've seen all the films.
I get what you're saying. I hate it.
It's really ugly to call that a genius on air.
Nobody screams at each other and goes,
I will fight you! Wow, what a great moment for our show.
Truly, we did it.
This would be a great jumping on point for you.
2,000 episodes in.
Every weekend and Wednesdays.
Shows no signs of stopping.
You can check the show out at X's for Show.
Come on. I mean, we've got a show, baby. Just, you gotta trust us. It's gonna be good.
Oh, brilliant! It's hard to believe that in the 56-year history of the greatest sci-fi television show in the English language, there has never been a fan guide to Doctor Who. The official books might give you what they think you need to know, but only a guide written by a true fan will give you what you really want to know. Join Whovian, the brilliant Mackenzie Flaw, as she takes you on an intensive journey inside the world of the first female Doctor. In the Binge Watcher's Guide to Doctor Who, Season 11. Right, let's get a shift on.
Hello, my name's Sylvester McCoy. Welcome to the legend of the travelling TARDIS.
And yes, welcome to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. My name is Christian Basil. We have a special guest on today, Sarah Al-Ahmed from the Planetary Society on the Planetary Radio. And I wanted to thank you all. I don't know why I'm off center today. I wanted to thank you all because we hit another milestone. We've only been on the YouTube channel for 3 years. We've been doing the podcast for 5 years now, but just been on YouTube for 3. And we want to thank people like our friend Lee, who contributes super chats and just helping us grow out there. Speaking of helping us grow, we've hit another milestone in our 3 years. Just recently, we hit 17,000 subscribers, and they are constantly growing. And this is just a phenomenal thing to see. And believe it or not, we've been looking at our numbers and we're halfway up to 18,000. So I don't know where you people are coming from. I don't know where you grow from, but thank you for joining us and letting us be your number one Doctor Who podcast. We're definitely, I think we can argue, but we are the fastest growing Doctor Who podcast out there. And I can't thank you enough. And hopefully as we grow milestones, more people will join us, more people will geek out with us, and we're just here to have a great time. And speaking of great time, let's go ahead and reintroduce our guest, Sarah Al-Ahmed from the Planetary Radio. Where were we?
Well, congratulations, first off. That is a milestone.
That is a huge, I don't know where they come from.
I was just thinking that this morning. Part of what we do at the Planetary Society is our members. We have a community app where people can go on and as space fans just have conversations. And just this morning, we passed 12,000 people in that community.
Holy cow.
That is so many people all just on there together talking about space all the time. I'm completely mind blown by it.
Well, you guys are the inspiration. I mean, one of the great things I love about the Planetary Society when I first saw it out there is your dedication to bring people the passion of space into there. And that seems to unite us because that's the common goal. We got to get off this planet eventually and see what's going on out there because it's just huge. And plus, I want to be beamed around on a transporter someday. So I just want to get that feeling.
Well, even Carl said that at some point that big ball of light up there is going to go away, and we got to be a long way away when that happens. Look what's about to happen to Betelgeuse, and we're pretty far from that, and that's going to change the night sky completely at some point. We're not sure when, but that's one of the reasons we keep sending stuff out is so that hopefully it can see further out there, so we'll kind of get a heads up on when it's going to happen here.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
We got to be a long way off.
Like,
so
I think
make these baby steps.
This is a guess, but I bet we would have a little bit of a warning when Betelgeuse goes because it'll probably produce a neutrino shockwave before it gets to us. So if all the neutrino detectors go off, and that's a hard one because it's like you need a facility the size of a whole building full of cleaner fluid to detect like one neutrino. But that thing goes off, we might have a supernova on our hands.
Yeah, that's the next. I guess the next big one we're looking forward to at some point. So, but
there's also though something coming up. There's going to be a nova, not a supernova, but a nova, which is like a smaller compact object that has a larger star near it feeding onto it. It's going to flare for the first time in quite a while, and we think it's going to happen before the end of the year. So, if you guys want to see something like that, that's going to be in Corona Borealis. And we have an article on our website at planetary.org. If you type in Nova and Corona Borealis, you can figure out how you can actually see that because you'll be able to see it with the naked eye.
That'll be epic. I can't wait.
Melanie, can you bring up that
space stuff all day
from Andrew? And then bring up Mark's super chat eventually, because I'm just going like, I think I saw what I said, but it's Andrew says, Sarah, are there any particular episodes or elements in Doctor Who that piqued your scientific interest?
So many. And usually it's the things that are like just a little inconsistent with the science, but are still like such interesting topics. For example, that 2-part arc with the Satan pit where they're orbiting a black hole.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can totally orbit a black hole. All right. That episode was a little wrong. You can absolutely orbit a black hole. We're doing it right now. We're going around a supermassive black hole at the center of our galaxy. But just being that close to it and trying to place humans who have gone beyond the edge of what is safe to be next to a black hole and do science. That was so cool. Or the episode on the waters of Mars with the first human colony on the surface of Mars. I mean, it's always those ones for me where the people are putting themselves in danger to go explore some kind of really cool, wacky space thing. Yeah. And of course, there's going to be aliens or, Satan. In the example of the Satan pit, it's going to get wacky, but it's awesome. It's really cool.
Now, in your opinion, there was oh wait a minute, bring up that super chat that Mark sent us, Cyborg.
Chris needs a new PC.
Oh God! Shut up!
You need a new PC. He spotted you 10 pounds. That's more than $10 US.
I know. That's funny.
Also
I forgot the scientist who mentioned this, but there's I just remember somebody who. Oh, okay, there we go. Sarah, as you are an astrophysicist, have you heard about Saturn's second Pac-Man moon? Revealed in NASA photos that was my friend who wrote it.
Oh, interesting. I mean, there are a lot of those kind of potato Pac-Man-y looking moons around Saturn. I don't remember the name of this one though. I'm trying to remember
a couple new ones, and I used to have them all memorized, and I've gotten older, and other things became more important. I can't remember my daughter's phone number. I just push their faces on the phone. So
at this point, there's so many of them, and like Jupiter and Saturn are warring to see who has the most moons. Because as we get better technology, we can find more of them. Especially with the James Webb Space Telescope, because it can see in infrared. It's allowing us to kind of spot new things.
Mm-hmm.
That would scare me if it was like that Adam Sandler movie. I look up and there's Pac-Man going around. There's ghost monsters are chasing around. Well, that's a thing today, isn't it, in the universe?
What weirds me out?
It's a terrible movie. I loved it.
What weirds me out is recently we've been doing a lot of asteroid missions, and some of these asteroids have their own little moonlets. But increasingly, we're finding that they're these like double-lobed, weird moonlets made out of like two objects that kind of glommed onto each other. And like that's not what I expected from a lot of this data recently. Those are weird.
Yeah, they look like little those clusters of boiled peanuts you get when you're on the roads.
Exactly.
Is that from the DART project with the asteroids?
DART, not DART, but the Lucy mission recently. It's on its way to the Trojan asteroids that are out by Jupiter, and on its way, it did kind of a flyby of an asteroid called Dinkinesh, which all my friends are calling Dinky because it's so small and cute. But then when they got there, they found that it had its own moonlet, and that moonlet was double-lobed. And we keep finding these objects, but DART was awesome. That was my first rocket launch. I got to go see that one go up. That was really cool. So watching it actually crash into an asteroid, I mean, is our first actual planetary defense test, which is part of what we do at the Planetary Society. We have like 3 main goals, which is to find life, to explore worlds, and to try to defend our planet from asteroids and comets. So watching us actually take that step and punch an asteroid in the face for the dinosaurs was cool. Oh, Oumuamua.
Yes.
In the comments. Yeah, that was a cool one. That was the first interstellar asteroid. We've only, I think, found 2 so far, Oumuamua and Borisov. But these objects, we know based on their trajectory and their velocity through our solar system that they came from outside the solar system, and they're just cruising on through and then taking off again. So if we can like park things in space ready to go rendezvous with those things, we could actually get readings on objects from other solar systems. It's awesome.
Yeah, that was the one we got a lot of people emailing us about on Eerie Travels because they're like, "Oh, it's interstellar. It's aliens. It's going faster on the way out. Yeah, there's some science that it lost weight as it went around the sun. Everybody goes faster when they lose weight. So
yeah. Probably just some weird outgassing.
Yep.
There you got a choice: TARDIS or Enterprise.
Oh, that one is so hard.
About to say which
TARDIS.
Enterprise.
I would go TARDIS, and that is a hard call, right? Because I think if Starfleet existed, that's where I would want to belong, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like you can just tell the Enterprise to pop back to the Library of Alexandria, right?
Right.
You know, you might end up lost in time if you're really unlucky. But
you might find some whales.
Yeah.
Say that.
Now we're in Sequest DSV instead. What the heck?
Yay!
Thank you, Lee. Here's another super chat donation. I would like to ask your guest, Sarah, how deep does space go and how far? And also, do you believe in infinite universes? Oh,
yeah.
Well, got a Marvel question in there.
It's a big
Two
question. Yeah. So there is a limit to how far we can observe in the universe, right? Because light can only travel so fast. And every moment that goes by, the universe is expanding and that expansion is accelerating. So every second that passes, our ability to observe the edges of the observable universe shrinks over time. But what is beyond that? The science suggests that the universe may be infinite, even if we're unable to observe beyond a certain threshold, right? But if it weren't infinite, that would have serious consequences for the way that our universe works. It would change its geometry. So say if the universe wasn't flat, is what they call flat geometry, if a beam of light was going out into space in a straight line, two beams of light were going out into space in a straight line, they would either converge toward each other or they would spread apart. But what we're seeing from the universe and from all of our readings of things like the cosmic microwave background radiation, all those, that it's straight lines forever, unless you're in a gravitational field, which suggests the universe is infinite. and then there's even a deeper question, which we have an even harder time trying to answer. But is this the only universe that exists? Is an even more profound and complex question. But we're just at the beginning of trying to ask these questions, let alone answer them. But I mean, it seems the universe goes on forever and ever and ever, which is terrifying and really cool. But you know, if what Doctor Who would say is that there's actually an edge to that. If we're looking at the more recent, like 60th anniversary episodes.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think that's correct. I think the universe does go on forever, but there are super voids and things like that where there are spaces where there aren't any stars, and those might be one of the most horrifying things I can think of, beyond getting sucked into a black hole. Yeah.
Mark, I feel like the alien from
that was Battlestar Galactica thing where they went to the void, and that was in the OG Battlestar.
Yeah, they also had it in Voyager, in Star Trek Voyager. There was that period where they were just stuck in the dark forever.
Yeah.
Couldn't get any new fuel for coffee.
Can't imagine. Can't imagine.
That is true hell.
Yeah,
I just
no
it's
coffee.
like driving through South Georgia, you know, but you know.
For all our
come on,
fans
you know,
in
Georgia.
South Georgia, we love you.
I
You know there's a
love you.
there's a
I'm
Buc-ee's
proud
in South
of you
Georgia.
living
You're
there.
fine.
Carolina.
I'm proud of you living there, but but none of us want to drive through there because the only thing you have there is police cars pulling us over for speeding because there's nothing there. So,
Sarah, we totally believe that Buc-ee's down here in the South is in another dimension. There's no way that they have that many gas stations and that much jerky,
and they're
on
bigger on the inside.
And they're bigger on the inside. Have you ever been to a Buc-ee's?
I haven't.
Oh my God. It is a religious experience.
Yeah. Yep.
I've
Oh my
never been
God.
to a gas
Well, I
station
do.
better bathroom. So bad. Sorry, but that's what they tout. They tout themselves for having the world's cleanest bathrooms, and they really, truly do.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's large. The stalls are full length doors, full length everything. There's hand sanitizer everywhere. You leave their stall, somebody goes in to clean it. It's.
I think the James Webb Telescope has not reached the end of a Buc-ee's yet.
It's crazy.
There's just
like
an
a Walmart
extra one out
supercenter.
there.
I think we need to launch the next Voyager mission to see if there's an end to a Buc-ee's restroom. So we'll see.
Oh man, one of these days there's going to be like a last restroom before you leave the solar system. You know?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I want to open a mystery shack out there where where gravity's wrong. Look, it's crazy.
I will look forward to know what kind of tchotchkes are out there. like all those types of things that you're going to be
Have
able
you
to go
seen
there.
Space Bigfoot?
A little Earth bobblehead.
Yeah.
Are you catching all this, Russell T? We'll give it to you for free.
We're
Just
giving
give
it
us
to you
credit
free,
for it.
man. Giving it to you free. So.
I
got you
do.
10
I do
episodes
have a
right from
question
that.
for all of you, because when I spoke
Sure.
with Russell, we had that whole conversation, and at the end of it, he said basically, the Dr. Cannon, member of the Planetary Society. We're on the same team. We're doing this exploring the universe, defending Earth thing together, right?
Yeah.
So I spoke with our membership team, and we made it official. The Doctor is a member of the Planetary Society, but I need to find a way to contact Russell to get him the membership card for the Doctor, because Doctor needs that membership card. So if you have any advice on how I can make that happen.
It should be John Smith, Dr. John Smith.
John
Smith,
Smith.
Earth name. So yeah,
Perfect.
that's his Earth name. So that would be good. We
We're
could
the
we could
face-
probably get it to Nick for Big Finish, and they might be able to get it to them.
Totally.
For the
Just show up to
picture,
all of the
like,
conventions with
things
an
on
extra copy for every Doctor.
Yeah,
We should. That would be a really
Yeah,
cool thing.
honestly.
I did get
that
to
would be
give
good.
Jodie Whittaker a con ribbon during Gallifrey 1, which was
Nice.
exciting for me.
Okay. Bill Nye, we just got you your new merchandise for your Planetary Society there. So there you go. We'll be selling
John
those
Smith
things.
membership card.
There you go. And that is the thank you for pulling that up. That is the actual podcast from the Planetary Society where Sarah interviews Russell T. Davies, and for a brief good minute you actually hear us to be part of the Planetary Radio, which I was excited with. That made my day. When I got
So
the email
glad.
to say that we were in the running for, I was like, okay. We still think you're crazy, but okay, cool.
I mean, come on. All of us space people are just a little crazy.
Yeah. You better. Well, what was Andrew's question? I didn't catch that.
Yeah, I didn't catch
You
that.
have 3 questions coming up.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Here's the
Okay.
first.
You're popular.
So, what, in your opinion, is the best way for humans to travel into deep space? Using cryo chambers or finding a way to fold space?
I mean, traveling through space has some really horrible impacts on the human body, and we've barely even begun to broach that, right? The people that have stayed in space on the International Space Station are necessarily still within the Earth's magnetosphere. So they're not even getting bombarded with the full awfulness of space radiation. And the people that have gone to the moon have experienced some pretty horrible things. Some recent studies have shown that it even impacts your kidney health. So say trying to go to Mars, you're probably going to get a bunch of kidney stones just right out the gate.
God.
We would have to do some really interesting technological solutions to make it possible for humans to travel that long in space. But also just the distances are just so profoundly huge that it would take you forever. So, just getting to the closest star system in Alpha Centauri, if you're going to go to Proxima Centauri B, or the closest planet near us, it would take you forever. And you need generation ships or something like that. Yeah. So I think we're going to need to figure out that technology. Cryo chambers, we've only just begun to breach, but I don't know if that would protect your body from any of those symptoms anyway. So similar. Finding a way to fold space, though, that has some promise if we could figure it out. There are some interesting suggestions for how you can build Alcubierre drives or warp drives, that kind of thing. But which one of these things is going to win out as like the easy technology? I don't know about that. It's probably going to be easiest for us to send robotic emissaries, which is the most depressing thing. But who knows? Maybe we can find a way to restore human intelligence on the other end of a space travel by, making a clone of us and then finding a way to put your intelligence back in. I don't know. It's so far beyond what we're capable of doing. But man. Huh?
First, we need to recover it here.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is part of why I'm so excited about this Artemis program, because for the first time we're doing basic tests like that Artemis 1 mission. It was the first time they ever sent up a woman presenting like body form up into space to see how that would impact the female body as well. Like we're just getting out the gate on this. But as we begin to broach the subject of permanent settlements on the moon and then on to Mars, like we'll be able to actually do this science, and then maybe we'll have a better understanding. Because I mean, we're in our lifetime not going to live to see humans, solar sailing out to the nearest stars. But I do not think it is beyond our capability. If we actually funded the science, if we threw all of our all of our like love and our effort at it. I think it's within our power to do it, but it's going to take a while.
Gotcha. Mark says, hasn't Jim Webb telescope changed a lot of common hold theories now rewriting history?
I wouldn't say that it's necessarily rewriting history, but definitely filling in some of the holes that we have right now in our understanding. So a few things that James Webb does is it can look further back into the universe than we ever could before, but it can also analyze the atmospheres of exoplanets. So worlds that are in other systems, we can actually analyze what's in their atmosphere and tell you what's going on in that world. Only if they're a certain size, though. So there's kind of two realms in which it's kind of acting right now to change how we think about the universe. In the case of like our universe and what we thought about the early universe, I guess we could say that it is kind of changing some of the things that we think. They're finding that the timeline for the formation of structure in the early universe is not what we expected. There are some things that form faster or slower than we expected. So there's some mysteries there. And then there's also some mysteries surrounding the expansion rate of the universe, this so-called Hubble tension. It's kind of helping us hone our answer there, but it is pointing to a deeper issue in the way that we're measuring this with our different forms of instruments. So it's definitely pointing at some things that suggest that there are some holes in our understanding, but I mean, that's helpful to know, right? And also finding a lot of really cool exoplanets out there that we had no capability of seeing before, which, you know, bodes really well because we have some really cool next generation telescopes coming down the line, like the Habitable Worlds Observatory. They're hoping that we'll be able to actually image worlds around other stars. We're beginning to be able to do that. James Webb has been able to see some of them. Only big ones, though. Like the idea is you block the light of the star with something so you can see the light of the objects around it. But our technology is like barely on the edge of being able to see like large gas giants. But give it 20 years, we'll be able to find Earth-like worlds, look at their atmospheres and go, yeah, there's totally water on that planet. By the way, there's oxygen and carbon dioxide. Would that tell us there's life there? Not necessarily, but we are like this close to being able to actually do that science, which is really cool. I love James Webb. I heard about it when I was 9. When I was 9, they announced they were going to try to make this next generation telescope, and I had to wait all the way until just a few years ago for that to happen. As if it's all about me, man. There's so many scientists that have like worked on that. Have I read Douglas Adams? Yes. Yes. Hitchhiker's Guide Forever.
The doctor and I are both members of the Planetary Society. Yay. Oh,
Yay.
There you go. Hey. Got a member.
Thanks for being a member. Seriously, part of our space fam.
Sarah, I'm going to ask you a 2-part question. This one is going to rack your brain because I'm sitting here like those creatures from Star Trek: The Next Generation going like, she's smart.
I'm just really nerdy about a very niche subject.
No, that's cool. That's awesome. Do you believe right now in existent period right now, because there's a second part to this question, do you believe there is life out there as we speak right now?
Right now, statistically speaking, it would be highly unlikely that we are the only life in the universe.
Okay.
Right. So I'm guessing absolutely yes. I think there's life out there. And in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if we found like microscopic bacterial life on other moons in our solar system even. But is there intelligent life nearby such that we can communicate? That's a whole other question that we don't have the data really to speculate on. Yeah.
The other question is, because I remember that I think it was a scientist who said if there was life out there, we would have already seen it by now, which I think it's an interesting theory at that point. But
yeah, I mean that's a whole thing, right? Because like we're looking for life, but how are we looking for life? For most of our time looking for life in the universe, we've been looking for radio signals under this assumption that like they're going to communicate the way that we did back in the 1960s. There's so many ways that they could be beaming information across the universe, right? We would not know of. And we're only really we're not dedicating a lot to this search, right? There are people who have made their whole careers off of it, but it's not like we have fleets of telescopes watching all angles of the sky at all time looking for these signals, right? There's so much more we could do. So yeah, but there's definitely some interesting stuff there. Like there are some big questions. Despite the fact that we've tried this for so long, it would suggest that it's not like intelligent life is the most prevalent thing ever. But
Tom says we can't be the only planet in our solar system, galaxy, in the universe. And, we can't be the only planet in our solar system, galaxy, or universe. No, we're not. We're definitely not.
But the only one with life? Yeah, I would be very surprised.
I think that's what he was trying to address, so that we can't.
Yeah, I would be surprised. But we haven't found it yet. So, that's our only data point so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any crazy space myths you want to bust? Moon landing conspiracies?
I mean, we definitely went to the moon. We really, really did. There are a few ways that you can prove that, but one of the fun facts that I like to share is that when they went up to the moon, they actually put reflectors on the moon so that you can fire lasers at it and bounce them back off and show that we went to the moon. So we definitely went there. Nibiru isn't a thing, but for people who like the hunt for strange objects in space, we do think there might be a 9th planet in our solar system, but we haven't found it yet. I can talk more about that if you want.
Pluto, it's still pissed off that it's... he writes to me. He sends me on his transistor radio calling you.
It's funny. I was actually a little salty about that, not because I was worried that Pluto wasn't a planet, right? Because there are so many other objects in our solar system that are bigger than Pluto, right? Ceres used to be categorized as a planet before we realized it's just kind of like a really big object in the asteroid belt. But I don't know. Like the interesting thing there is that Pluto, it doesn't meet all the criteria for being a planet, mostly because it isn't the dominant thing in its orbit. It hasn't booted everything out of its orbit. But this hypothetical planet 9 that we're looking for, we think it's there because we see that all these objects are being kicked out and cleared out of this area, kicked out of this orbit by an object that we haven't found yet. And the data suggests that its size is maybe a little bit less than Neptune or so. We call like a sub-Neptune, which as we're looking out into the solar or into the universe, we've realized is the most common form of exoplanet. Is a type of planet we don't have in our solar system. And that would be really cool to know. So that's what I want to know about. But yes, we did go to the moon and the Earth is not flat.
And the moon is made out of cheese, right?
Very tasty.
Only the inner core. Only the inner core.
Right. It's got the rind around the outside.
Yeah, exactly. You got to dig in. You got to peel the red layer off. Haven't you ever eaten that?
Exactly.
The wax from the top.
If Luxembourg can be a country, Pluto can be a planet. Darn it.
There you go.
I just thought of a new movie from Hugh Grant. A man who goes off of an asteroid and comes back a planet or something like that, or whatever that movie that was.
I was just thinking, what is that Moonfall? The one where the moon is hollow and they crash it into the Earth.
Yeah.
Whoops.
I think there is a movie about
moon, isn't it? No, it's not. No, it's not, Kevo. No, it's not. I don't.
According to Doctor Who, the moon is an egg. No. It hatches and has another egg.
No.
It's canon.
It's canon.
I just close my eyes and think, no. That's not. If Sarah, if there's life out there with everything that you've seen on Doctor who do you think we're going to run into first?
Of the creatures that exist. Okay. In the episode Gridlock, when they're stuck in traffic and then they look down into the fog and it's just a bunch of giant crab creatures. That's what I think. Crabs.
Oh, the Merca, right?
I'm trying to remember what they were called. Macra,
yes.
Yeah, giant crabs. And I say that because crabs on Earth have kind of like they kind of re-evolved. They're like so common.
Flatwoods monster. They came to us. They were already here, and it was a probe. That's the look it up. We did an episode on it, but Flatwoods monster. That's my call.
But I think too, maybe, if we look toward the more like cybernetic organisms, I think we're more likely if things are going to be traveling through deep space, they're probably more likely to be something, more akin to the Cybermen or the Daleks.
Yeah. Flatwoods was basically a giant Dalek when you look at it from the witnesses that saw it and everything before the government came in and shut it down. But
like putting an organic component inside seems a little counterintuitive. Like if the whole point is that, you're going for the superiority of the metal and the machinery and the
Mhm.
cognitive workings of a machine. Like, that's going to last through space a lot better. Why put a squishy thing inside at all, right? You don't
Right.
really need the brain or the squishy.
Those micro drones and stuff that we're talking about sending, because when I got to touch a solar sail, and that thing was so thin, and it's like, oh my gosh, and then you realize all they have to put on that is like a microchip thing, even smaller than a microchip, a nanochip, and send
Mhm.
that out, and that could go a million miles faster than anything we've got, and would take almost no energy to send. And that's what
It's
I
pretty
think the future
bonkers.
is.
I think
Yeah.
that's going to be our first technology that actually goes to another star system, and it's
Agreed.
part of our kind of claim to fame as the Planetary Society is that we created the first fully crowdfunded spacecraft, and it was a solar sail. We were the first people to kind of well, Japan beat us to the first solar sail. So let's be fair. Their Ikaros spacecraft beat us, but we managed to actually put a solar sail into orbit around Earth and prove that you could do controlled flight with one of these things.
Oh.
And it's a really cool technology. The problem is that you can't put a lot of weight on it. Otherwise, it takes a lot to accelerate it. But you can essentially create a sail and then just use light itself to propel it without any other form of fuel. So if we could create like a laser pew pew system or something, we could ramp one of these up and just shoot it right out of the solar system. I think that's going to be our first thing to another star system. That's my guess.
I agree. That was when I talked to that NASA guy who wrote the book about it. It was so amazing, and I was like, "Yep, that's it. That's how we do it."
That's how we do it. And we actually have parts of the film from the solar sail, from our solar sail, in our HQ. So you can go in and like feel how thin it is, how light it is. It's completely mind blowing. I'm sad. I'm sad our spacecraft died eventually, but
it happens. So where is the HQ again?
It's in Pasadena, California.
Pasadena. Okay.
Yeah. And we don't do open tours, but if anybody wants to ask to come by, that kind of thing, you can always feel free to email me at planetaryradio@planetary.org, and we can see what we can arrange, because it's a beautiful place. I love showing people around there.
Let our Erie travelers know. So that'll be
good.
That solar sail was Les Johnson's project, wasn't it?
Not that solar sail. I'm trying to think, what is the name of it?
That was the one I got to touch, was Les Johnson.
I see.
That was, he was doing a book tour, and he brought that to where he was signing books, and it was amazing. So it literally almost defied gravity. It literally just, this one little piece of sail just floated.
It's a really cool technology. I think we got the material we made that out of it was like surplus from a previous project that someone used, so we got it on the cheap.
Oh wow.
The things you do when you're building a crowdfunded spacecraft, right? Like 50,000 people kicked on that project.
Built it from IKEA.
No, when you have budget constraints, you have to be very, very agile on how you're going to get your materials and what you can do with them.
Yeah, and it was hard too, because we had all these plans in the past. Like the first one that we tried, the Cosmos mission, exploded. Like a lot of our previous versions, we put them on other people's spacecraft, primarily Russian spacecraft, and they kind of didn't make it out of Earth.
Oh, no.
Then we finally, after all that effort, we decided we were going to do kind of more of a test mission. We did Light Sail. That worked awesome. And then we finally launched Light Sail 2, went full send, and it totally worked and lasted 2 years longer than we expected it to work. So, I mean, there's so much potential for this technology. I'm really glad. And NASA, now we're collaborating with them to work on their solar sail missions, because they just launched one kind of recently, and we're working on even more. Yeah.
And less from conventions for years. That's why I asked. Oh.
Totally.
Nice.
Another question from Andrew.
If you had to pick a sci-fi film that you think would be close to our future in space, what would it be? I would pick The Martian.
Yeah. I mean, The Martian is a great example of like the closer time in space exploration history. I think something like that is very possible. Apart from the fact that the Martian dust storm, the dust storm at the beginning of The Martian, is not the way dust storms on Mars actually work. You're not going to have something so strong that it blows over your spacecraft and hurts you, say. Even though they do have global dust storms that can do things like block your solar panels and stuff like that. But I don't know. It depends on how hopeful I'm feeling, honestly, because I think it's not a movie, but the TV show The Expanse is pretty close to, I think, the way it's going to happen if we're not careful. We have to be very thoughtful about how we treat each other as we go to space. What kind of regulations and laws do we put in place before we go there that monitor the way that corporations act in space, or how you protect human life as you go out into the asteroid belt, say? Like, how do you protect human rights while you're out in space? I don't want to live in a world that's like corporations take over space, but I think that's kind of likely if we're not careful.
Nothing like aliens or something like that.
Probably not. I mean, honestly, like, why? Aliens is a little complicated, right? But like, I don't know why any alien species, unless it was they weren't meaning to, like, we happened upon them and then we kind of infected us with them, right? We let the really hungry monster onto our spaceship on accident. But I think it's really unlikely that aliens are just going to drop down on Earth and be like, give us your water. Like, there's water and resources all over the galaxy. There's no reason they would come here for us unless there was a very specific reason, right? And maybe it is that Earth-like planets with water on their surface are actually really, really rare. And maybe they want to take our land or something. Maybe, but I don't know. I bet Earth-like worlds are more likely than we think they are, just because we don't really have good technology for finding them yet, right? Like, that's really hard.
I love this.
So no worrying about ice pirates then. Okay.
I wouldn't worry about it. But I don't know, man. Maybe if we're living in the asteroid belt or out in the Kuiper belt or something, you have people coming by and just like stealing all your water. Being on the moon or on Mars, like the resource utilization is going to be really hard because we're going to have to be really sustainable about it. And like, what if you're the one people that found that one really cool permanently shadowed crater on the moon that has all the ice, and now everyone's at war over it? I could see that happening.
So you heard it here first, folks. Ice pirates is the only real sci-fi real science.
Pirates.
Nice.
There we go.
When tied to the human condition, yes.
Yeah.
If we did have first contact with other life forms, do you think it would be Star Trek Encounter or Babylon 5 Encounter? Knowing the human
honestly,
race.
Both of those situations were pretty brutal. Like, we ended up in wars with both the Vulcans and the Membari in that situation, right? Like, in all of these cases, it's like a misunderstanding that then leads people into war with it. I think we're going to have to be really careful, but that really depends on how we encounter them and who's there first, right? Because if it's just, Cochrane out there like a willy-nilly, like, cowboy starting wars, like, we might be in trouble.
Diplomacy. Well, there was an episode of, have you ever seen The Orville?
Yes, I love The Orville.
There was a lesson in one of them that was really cool. It was Commander Grayson, and she met this girl that came from another planet, and she was trying to take pieces off the ship to try to better her world. And she brought her into, I guess, what they call their holodeck or whatnot, and she showed her, okay, here's the world that we visited and we were hiding out, and then 5 years later the whole place is destroyed. And it was only because they got involved. They said, we just wanted to help these people, but they're, they sometimes a civilization has to build up and learn and go through its growing pains before it can be. We can't, go to caveman and go, here's a tricorder. They'll go completely nuts if they even figure it out.
Yeah, so those episodes were really deep. I really liked those episodes with that, because the planet that girl comes from is like an absolute democracy where everyone upvotes and downvotes each other, and that like truth is defined as what everyone like votes for in that society. It really put a lot of things into my brain that I hadn't really been thinking of before. It was beautiful. God, the Orville is so good.
It is, and we're not too far away from that. I think we're just around the corner.
Yeah.
For Sarah, is the Planetary Society affiliated with SETI, and what are your thoughts on their endeavors?
We're not directly affiliated with SETI, although we've helped with things like SETI at Home and things like that in the past. But we're deeply connected with the people who are into the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. So like really early on, I believe we were involved with some of the early SETI efforts through Carl Sagan. But in more recent years, like even just this year, we got together a panel of all the biggest experts in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence to see how we can help them in their search, and how we can help them in communicating about the search. Because I think a lot of science fiction fans are very willing to believe that we've already found life out there in the universe, right? But the scientific endeavor to say for sure is so much more complicated than like we found a one-off detection of dimethyl sulfide on a world somewhere, right? We have to take a lot of steps to then say that that is life. So we're doing everything we can, really, but the effort needs a lot more funding. And how do you find the funding for that and the scale of everything else we're trying to do out there? It's really complicated. But I think the first step is to try to find life in our solar system, bacterial life, microbial life, that kind of thing. But also look for things like technosignatures. Like right now, we're helping fund through our grant programs. It's a citizen science project that helps people comb through signals from outer space to try to detect what is and is not a signal from Earth, so we can separate out technosignatures. So we're a part of a lot of these projects, but I don't know. There's so much more that could be done. It's the biggest question that humanity has ever asked, and it needs a lot more love.
Well, we're coming up to the end of the show. This has been a fun adventure, Sarah, but I know Melanie and Dave want to make an announcement, but let me go ahead and make our quick announcement over here, just reminding folks that we're going to be out there at Ancient City Con, September 13th to the 15th in St. Augustine, Florida, at the World Golf Village Renaissance Resort. This is our first year at that convention, and we are totally excited, especially being in one of the oldest cities in the U.S. World Golf Village. I love that place. St. Augustine is just phenomenal. Have you ever been to St. Augustine, Sarah?
No.
You got to go. It's just a different world. It's another dimension out there, and because of
it's a great old walkable city.
Yes,
but don't go in the dead of summer. It's still Florida.
Oh yeah,
you will
try to head out there next time I'm in Florida for a lunch.
You got to
go. About 150 ghost tours per square block of that city. So
yeah, he's not joking either. He's probably been to every single one of them. Plus, on the January, they have the Million Lights, where the entire town just goes nuts over. Just 1 million lights cover everything out there. Again, September 13th to 15th at you can get your tickets at Ancient City Con. Don't forget, we're going to be there hosting panels, and Dalek Hal will be joining us out there. Yep, a full working, moving, shooting, talking Dalek will be out there.
Sassy
at our booth.
Sassy Dalek.
Very much. Very much.
Does it come with lasers?
He can fire now.
Yep.
That's amazing.
He is armed.
He can walk, talk, move. He can fire.
Clap back.
Yeah.
Sorry, whatever. The two panels and Hal's there.
King of puns. Yeah.
And I know
puns galore.
Dave, do you want to make the announcement where you guys are going in just a few moments?
Sure. So in about 14 minutes from now, Melanie and I are going to keep this Doctor Who thing going. We're going to be over on Earth Station Who, talking about Series 14 or Season 1, whatever you want to call it. So you can join us over there, youtube.com/@EarthStationWho. And again, that will be starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. So about 39 minutes from now. And you'll be able to join us over there. If you missed us on our channel talking about the kind of season wrap up, you can get more of our thoughts on it and a few other people's thoughts. We've had several of the people over on our show as well, but definitely come join us. It'll be live in just a few minutes. So come. Me and Melanie are going to have a good time. They've graciously allowed Melanie to come back. Communicating her.
Did you get in trouble
last time?
I got in trouble because I know one of the hosts, or actually the lead host, Mike Faber, is not the biggest Rose fan. So as we were talking about, we're going to be opening whenever I see the opportunity to bring up Rose and 10 and the 10 and the 10-2 and all that fun stuff. Yeah, I know it's kind of a little bit jab for him. And I'm doing it specifically. So yes, whenever we're talking, multiverses, we're going to do anything else, I will absolutely just be there to hit that button to go, yes, we're going to see Pete's World. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. And I don't let up. I'm relentless.
Dude,
but I love Rose. I love 10 and then 10-2 and all that other kind of stuff. So yes.
I know we have very little time left, but I've just been thinking over the last few days, like, did Sutek mess up that universe did it travel with the TARDIS over there and not have the ability to fix it because it was
because the TARDIS can't go back there.
I don't know. TARDIS can't go back. That's all I can think about.
Theoretically, TARDIS went there. He dropped off some death there, and the TARDIS can't go back to fix it. So that is entirely plausible.
Yep.
And next season, we are going to get more of the Pantheons. So we'll see. Maybe we'll find out more about that. I hope we're going to find out more about that because, yeah.
And last but not least, Mr. Mark
yeah,
Muncy, where can people find you?
Yeah, I'll be at the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference, which is in Gatlinburg at the end of the month, July 28th. I think that's my next appearance. And then we'll be at Squonkapalooza in August in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Just go to EerieTravels.com, and that's got all of our appearances coming up. We'll be at Mothman Festival, Flatwoods Festival, a bunch of other stuff coming up. And Tampa Bay Comic Con, my next one in Florida.
Good. I was about to ask if you're going to be at Tampa Bay Comic Con because then
I'll be
there. I'll see you there.
Yay!
And Sarah, if you could stay after the show, we appreciate it. But tell everybody else where they can find you.
Yeah, well, you can find our show, Planetary Radio, on any of the major platforms for podcasting and on YouTube. In person, I think my next appearance is going to be at Gallifrey 1. We're going to see if we're going to be able to have a Doctor Who meetup while we're there. And then next year at WorldCon in Seattle, I'll be there as well.
Nice.
Yeah. And you can check out all of our stuff at planetary.org.
Sweet. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to check out overtherathole.ca on the YouTube channel, over on Instagram at Pieces of Melee for Melanie. And before you leave that door, don't forget to say goodbye. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. 17,000 of you. You guys are crazy. You guys are, and we love every single one of you who come to support us out there. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And everybody gave us a super chat. Thank you so much, Lee and Mark. We appreciate you. Yep, there we go. It's been a while since I've done that.
I can do the thing.
You can do the thing.
There
we go. Oh,
yeah.
This fancy technology.
We hate you. We hate you. Other than that, folks, thank you for joining us on this adventure. And as always, Tony, take us out.